Welcome to Musically ARIYEL, where we dive deep into the rhythms, melodies, and stories behind the music you love.
Hi guys, welcome to my podcast, Musically ARIYEL. So, joining me today is an American guitarist, a songwriter, and the founder of the Music Factory Records. He is a very talented artist with over 3 Grammy considerations. Today with me is Ari Joshua. I am so happy to have you on my channel. For starters, I would like you to do an introduction, although I know you, but I think my audience need to have a better understanding of who you are and what you do. And I'd like you to also share a bit of a background on your journey as an artist and where you're from. So let's get into it.
I was born in South Africa, in Cape Town, and my family didn't want me to grow up in the apartheid that was there. So my dad was looking for a job. He found he was at university, and he got into a university in Pennsylvania, Hershey, Pennsylvania. And then we moved to Pennsylvania. We lived in the East Coast for a couple of years. When I was about preschool age, moved to Seattle, and I grew up in Seattle during the grunge rock era. I loved that music, and I loved like Jimi Hendrix and blues and all that kind of stuff. And when I got into the jazz band in high school, and the jazz band was like really a special jazz band. Like we would tour around Europe, and we played in Mexico several times, little Mexican tours, and we would play around the States. So it was like being in almost like a professional band at the age of 14 to 18.
Wow.
And it really exposed me to what's possible by like learning how to play an instrument really well.
That's fantastic. So before we dive into the conversation, I'd like for you to talk about your recent achievements, especially your Grammy consideration for the 66th Grammys. I think that's an astronomical achievement, and I would love to hear more about it.
I've got like 8 or so songs in the consideration pool.
Wow.
It's not like I'm nominated yet. It's like first round of voting. We'll find out the results, but I've been working on a bunch of different projects, kind of putting out one song at a time from each project and working on a batch of music. And the Grammys, I have a song called Soul Mine with this amazing organ player, Delvon Lamar, who's incredible. He's like touring all over the world, and the saxophone player named Skerrick, who plays with Les Claypool's Flying Frog Brigade. And Skerrick's just amazing. Amazing saxophone player, also kind of part of the Seattle grunge era. And then it's drummer Grant Schroff, who's in Polyrhythmics. So we have a song with that group that's up for Best Jazz Performance. Also for Best Jazz Performance, I have a song called Meeting of the Minds, which is like a free jazz recording with John Medeski and Billy Martin from Medeski Martin Wood, and Jason Fraticelli on bass. And then I have just a bunch of other songs, like I can't remember actually all of them at this point, but under the producer category, I got like a jazz ballad. I got a couple other songs with the Delvon and Skerrick lineup, and I have a couple songs with John Kimmock, Andy Hess, and Eden Ladine. Eyes of the World, I think Help on the Way and Lights Out from that session are in that category. So it's just a lot of really cool stuff, and really excited about it.
I would like to know how this level of recognition makes you feel and what it means to you as an artist.
I feel like I don't really have any desire to be like famous in it per se, but the music that I make is coming from such a deep place in my heart. And I think it's when you're an artist and you have something that you really want to give to society from a true artistic place, then part of that dream is having people recognize it or receive it. And we live in a world where there's so much going on and so many things fighting for different people's attention that it's hard to connect from the heart with people. And that's all I really want to do. But the ultimate goal is just to keep creating and to find people that it resonates with.
I love that. Dragon Lair has been described as a cinematic masterpiece by its listeners, and I can totally agree with that as one of your listeners. So could you take us behind the scenes of this project and share the creative journey that brought about this unique piece of work?
Getting ready for the recording session. Usually when I have a recording session, I'll like write a bunch of music just for that recording. This was just something that was on my mind, and it kind of came like all at once. Like I started playing the idea and the theme, and I could almost visualize a character kind of approaching a dragon and being ready to ride the dragon. But I think it could mean different things to different people. But there's like some harmonic stuff in the song. Like there's a tritone harmony, which is really dissonant. Of course, John and Billy, they're such geniuses creatively, that John like sounds like he made the sounds of a dragon, like just breathing fire, and it inspired me to play that way. I didn't know that it would turn out so well when I was writing it. It was a good exercise in writing something and then going in and working with people that have their own, artistic threshold where they can just, contribute so amazingly.
That's beautiful. And I would love to say that John and Billy are really talented, and I think working with such legendary figures and having them on this project just added the result that I think this project needed. And I would say that having them add their creativity to yours on this project just made it even super unique, and that's something that I would say I love about this project. I'd also like to say that I think you're a very versatile artist. From listening to some of your works, you're very creative, and then you have like a blend of different genres, which is really, really nice. I learned that some of the amazing minds who has influenced your artistry includes Medeski, Frank, and a few others. How do you think these diverse inspirations come together to shape your music?
I think everyone that you meet influences you in some way. And I think an artist's job is to identify things that emotionally move them. So if you hear something and it makes you feel an impact of something, then when you're developing your craft, I think one of the best ways you can do it is by imitating that person that is moving you. And then not just by imitating them like the notes on a page, or not just by imitating them by playing the same sounds that they're playing, but really trying to like access the feeling of what's going on, and then to find your own way of interpreting and maybe expressing something similar. I mean, this is kind of like the jazz musician's way of learning. Like you learn a little bit of this guy's phrasing, a little bit of that guy's phrasing. You study how this person composed music, and then eventually, once you've studied and absorbed, 100 or 1,000 amazing artists, you start to kind of find your own voice.
I totally agree with that. Let's talk about your upcoming releases. I am definitely excited to hear more about the new songs that I'll be adding to my playlist. So tell me how many songs we should be anticipating.
18 on the year, probably.
Wow, that's really impressive. So now that we know that we have more music coming our way, could you give me a sneak peek into the kind of music we should be anticipating and the kind of vibe that we would be getting from your upcoming releases?
I think the audience can feel whatever they want. I would just really ask people who are going to check me out to really give it some time and to listen carefully, put some headphones on or find yourself in a nice quiet environment. I mean, there's certain artists and certain music that's meant to be like in the background, or maybe you can consume it on like a surface level. But I would really just love for people to give my music a chance to see if it can really, take them on a journey. The next batch of songs is going to be similar to the material I've been putting out. There's a couple songs I'm going to be singing on, which is exciting because usually most of my music is instrumental. Yeah, and I would just hope that anybody who listens to it gives a chance to really immerse themselves in the music and listen to the song and to listen to the art of it, the artistic expression.
Let's talk about your roots in South Africa and your family's history there. So would you say that being in South Africa and experiencing the culture, the people, would you say it's influenced your music in any way?
Absolutely. The African culture is something that was around me. I think I left Cape Town around age 4 and then lived on the East Coast until about age 8 and then came out to Seattle. And I think the things that I took in from it are on the side of the art, the people, are very beautiful people. Like there's a certain beauty in the way that they communicate, and there's a certain way the geography is with Table Mountain there and Lion's Head. When you go to the market, people are selling things that they've made, and there's people playing music, and there's a certain joy in watching people sing. Yeah, I think it's all become a part of who I am. And even more than that, there's even a certain way that like the crickets sound when you're in Cape Town at night. There's a certain kind of polyrhythmic sound to it. Like this group of crickets is like, chirping like this, and then this one's chirping like that. And it's interesting because in African music, the groove is really a huge part of what that music has contributed to the world. And without getting too deep, there's actually a direct connection to polyrhythms and how they create a groove to Western harmony.
So unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today, but it's been amazing having this conversation with you. It's been very insightful, and I definitely hope we get to have more sessions like this. And it's a pleasure having you as our first guest on this podcast channel. So yeah, thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you for spending time with us today. Let's give it up for ARI, everybody. And don't forget to check out his music. He's on Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Instagram. I'll definitely put his links down below. And thank you so much for hanging out with us. I hope you have a good day.